Good morning, football fans, and happy Tuesday. My name is Izzy, and welcome to Week 17's game-by-game recap. Moving on, Chiefs vs. Steelers on Christmas Day. The Chiefs came out on top with the 29-10 win. Patrick Mahomes threw 29 of 38 passes, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Russell Wilson shorted that 23 of 37 passes, 205 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Now, every single week, every single game, I give an MVP to the best player that I think was that game. This week, as a Chiefs hater, I hate to say this, but Travis Kelce, he came back well, performed with 8 receptions, 84 yards, and a 10.5 average with 1 touchdown. Great to see that, Travis. Next up, another Christmas Day game, a blowout from the Ravens against the Texans, 31-2. Lamar Jackson threw 10-15, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 0 interceptions. CJ Stroud, clearly a lot of passing, but not a lot of completions. 17 of 31, 185 yards, 0 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception. MVP of this game, gotta give it to QB Lamar Jackson, not only because he scored me 37 fantasy points, but he had 168 yards passing, 4 carries, 87 yards rushing, a touchdown on the ground, and a 21.8 average. Next up, some Thursday Night Football action, except there was not a lot of action. This game might have just put me to sleep. Seahawks came out on top against the Bears, 6-3. No touchdowns, only field goals. Geno Smith threw 17 for 23, 160 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Caleb Williams wasn't much better, 16 for 28 passes, 122 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. This MVP was very hard to decide. I could have given it to a kicker since they are the only points given on Thursday Night Football, except I give it to Devin Witherspoon on the Seahawks, 6 tackles and 1 sack on Caleb Williams. Some Saturday football, a blowout from the Chargers, 40-7 against the Pats. Justin Herbert threw 26 of 38, 281 yards, 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Drake May only threw 12 for 22, 117 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Jacoby Brissett came in, only threw 1 of 2 for -2 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. For the MVP of this game, gotta give it to the rookie Ladd McConkey. He is just unstoppable. He's the best rookie out there. 8 receptions, 94 yards, and 11.8 average, and 2 touchdowns. Great job, lad. Next up, the Broncos-Bengals in a tight overtime matchup, leading the playoffs. Bengals stayed tight and came out on top 24-30, leaving the Bengals, Colts, and Dolphins, and also Broncos still in the fight for playoffs. Joe Burrow threw 39 for 49 with 412 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Bo Nix threw 24 of 31, 219 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. MVP of this, without a doubt, T. Higgins, 11 receptions, 131 yards, 11.9 average yards, 3 touchdowns, and I agree with Jamar Chase on this. Pay that man, Bengals. Next, some Saturday Night Football. Rams come out in close 13-9 game against the Cardinals. Kyler Murray threw 33 at 48, 321 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Matthew Stafford only threw 17 of 32, 189 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. For MVP, I decided to go with Trey McBride. He had 12 receptions, 123 yards, 10.2 average, and 1 touchdown. Next up, going into the Sunday games, Eagles dominate 41-7 win against the Cowboys, winning the division. Cooper Rush went 15 of 28 passes, 147 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and pick 6 by the Eagles. Kenny Pickett threw 10 of 15, not a lot of passing, 143 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. For MVP of this, I was thinking of going Devontae Smith, 2 touchdowns from him, but instead I'm going to go on the defensive side. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he had 1 tackle and 2 picks off of Cooper Rush. Next up, the Bucks, another dominant victory, 48-14 versus the Panthers. Bryce Young went 15-28, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Baker Mayfield went 27 for 32, 359 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. For MVP of this one, I was going to take Mike Evans. He had 2 touchdowns, but he only had about 97 yards and 8 catches. So instead, I went with Adam Thielen. He had 5 receptions, 110 yards, 22 average, and 2 touchdowns. Next up, the Bills coming up, keeping their fire alive. 40-14 win against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers went 12 for 18, 112 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Come on, man. Tyrod Taylor came in 11 for 14, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. On the other side, Josh Allen came in 16-27, 182 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Mitchell Trubisky came in with 169-yard touchdown. MVP was hard to decide. I'm going to go with Amari Cooper. He had 3 receptions for 56 yards and 18.7 average and 1 touchdown. Pretty decent. Next up, the one I have been dreading to talk about. Giants secure a win, 45-33 against the Colts. Drew Lock went 17-23, 309 yards, 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Come on, Colts defense. Joe Flacco went 26-38, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. For MVP, gotta give it to rookie Malik Neighbors. Broke 1,000, 7 receptions, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, 24.4 average. Even better part for me, I have him on fantasy. He gave me 34.6 points, along with Alec Pierce giving me 22.2 points. It was a good week. The Raiders take on a 25-10 win against the Saints, putting them at 4-12. Aiden O'Connell with 20-35, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Spencer Rattler went 20 for 36, 218 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks, man. MVP, I'm going to give it to the defensive side. Robert Spillane, not a well-known name, but he had 4 tackles, 4 assists, and 1 sack. Great job helping out the defense. Next up, Titans-Jags, an AFC South matchup. Jags took the win 20-13, moving on to 4-12. Mason Rudolph went 19 for 31, 193 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. Mac Jones adjusting to Jacksonville very well. 15 for 22, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I'm going to give this MVP to the wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., 7 receptions, 91 yards, so close to 100, and average 13 and 1 touchdown. Next up, the Dolphins-Browns. Dolphins looking to help their playoff hopes alive, and they did. They won 20-3. Tyler Huntley went 22 for 26. Pretty accurate. 225 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, 24 for 47. Barely even over 50%. 170 yards, 0 touchdowns, and a pick. MVP of this game, Dolphins, Tyrod Dodson, 8 tackles, 7 assists, and a pick. Great job. Next up, the NFC North matchup, Packers-Vikings. Close 2-point game. Vikings stole the win, 27-25. Jordan Love went 19 for 30, 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. Sam Darnold, very well passing game, 33 of 43, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. This MVP of this game is controversial. I'm going to give it to Josh Jacobs. He had 17 receptions, 69 yards, an average of 4.1, and 1 touchdown. We've been waiting all day for Sunday night football. The last one will definitely be remembered of the season. Went into overtime, 30-24 Commanders against the Falcons. Rookie on rookie, Michael Penix Jr. went 19 for 35, 223 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 pick. Jaden Daniels went 24 for 36, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. For MVP of this one, I'm going to go with rookie QB Jaden Daniels. Along with 227 passing yards, he rushed for 127 yards with 16 carries, a 7.9 average. And no rushing touchdowns for him, but he had 3 passing touchdowns. Great work, Jaden. Last game of the week, Monday Night Football, Niners-Lions. Lions get the upset, 40-34. Jared Goff threw 26-34, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Brock Purdy came in with 27 of 35, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. He got hurt late fourth quarter. Josh Dobbs came in 3 of 4 passes, 35 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interception. He ran for 1. MVP of this, I'm going to have to give it to receiver Ricky Pearsall. 8 receptions, 141 yards, 17.6 average, and 1 touchdown. Great work. This is every recap of Week 17's games. My name is Izzy. I'll see you next week.